Welcome to the CEO Crypto Show. We have Kevin Gibson with us today. He's the founder of Proof of Search. We're going to talk about his interesting background in Web3. Kev was CEO Latin America of Robert Walters prior to Proof of Search, occupied a bunch of managing directors position around the world. It's a very cool guy. I've been talking with him prior to the podcast. This pod is presented to you by bitbars.xyz. That's a project I'm part of. They're basically monetizing block space. If you're interested in investing in that project, you can check them out at bitbars.xyz. Kev, I'm glad to have you on the show. Tell us a bit more about yourself and what you've been up to as of late.
Sure. Well, you can probably tell from my accent, I'm Australian, but I spent about 25 years overseas, always working in the recruitment space. So worked in New Zealand, London, Singapore, Japan, and my last gig was running Latin America based out of Sao Paulo, Brazil. Always in traditional recruitment. Wanted to come back to Australia just over 4 years ago. And, like a lot of us in the pandemic, we're investing in the crypto space. And I really saw an opportunity. There was a Cambrian explosion of new business models, new job types, and there wasn't that many specialist recruiters who really understood the technology and the culture. So I decided to come back to Australia, and I founded Proof of Search 4 years ago last week, actually. So founded in the heat of the bull run, like a lot of companies are founded, and managed through the bear market and enjoying the fruits of that work as we come into a bull market again. So yeah, interesting space to be in recruiting in the blockchain, in the crypto space, because you get to see a lot of different sectors and people from very junior to very senior. So a fascinating ride.
Right. So I'm listening to Crypto Confidential by Nate Elyson, which is quite a good book about crypto, DeFi, and Web3. And yeah, he is detailing his story around 2019, I would say, just building apps, right, and smart contracts. And yeah, he's getting paid pretty heftily, right? But in these days, I think it was still like the far west. Nowadays, it's way more regulated and there's way less like pump and dump scheme. But is it still valuable to learn about these skills like DeFi and how to actually build a crypto app, or are we gone past the opportunity era slash window of opportunity?
Definitely not. I think there's still people in the sector keep forgetting how early we are. And at the end of the day, this technology will prevail, and it's an early iteration. So like everything in crypto, the best time to start is now. So there's still going to be a huge amount of different opportunities. Obviously, the business models and the applications of those business will change and become more mainstream. But it's a great sector to sort of start a career in, because everybody's qualified by experience. They're not waiting for you. Have you come from Harvard or done this or done that? So to getting in started and get into a project, even volunteer to do that. And over time, if you're delivering, you will get picked up into a great project. So yeah, there's still a vast number of opportunities coming up.
Right. And tell me about the company itself, Proof of Search. Like, have you seen growth since the time of inception, since you started it? And in precisely what sectors? Because I see a couple of sectors here. I also see metaverse, NFTs, and DeFi, for example.
Sure. Well, yeah, I started 4 years ago. There's 4 of us now. And depending on which type of the sort of cycle, you're having different narratives in different areas recruiting heavily. So we had the DeFi summer, was the NFT and the metaverse boomed. And as we're coming into this bull market, we've seen a lot of the market makers, come to the fore again. A lot of the exchanges come to the fore again. So, like everything in crypto, it's very dynamic. Depending on where you are in the cycle, different sectors are hiring at different paces. And also, the other interesting thing about the crypto space is that different types of roles are in demand. So in the bear market was very much engineering, building, development. Now that we're in this phase of sort of the emerging bull market, companies are really looking for growth managers, community managers, which is a very unique role just in crypto. A community manager is sort of part customer service, part business development, part, sort of marketing. So the different cycles will produce different demands, and you tend to find that there's a lot more experienced people now who've got track records that we can go and verify and check. So the recruitment process in crypto that I found is becoming a lot more sophisticated in this cycle, which is great, because having the right people in a small project is very important. You get it wrong and you can set your project back 6 months ago. If it's a head of engineering, head of growth, really important to get the right people. And now we can verify projects that they've worked on. In 2020, 21, everyone's like, I'm a stealth project, I've done this, and you couldn't check anything. Now you can. So it makes recruiting a lot more predictable, which is great for founders looking to grow.
Right. And what about AI? Why not branch in that field of specialty as well?
Yeah, look, I've had that conversation a number of times in the bear market, but you've got to keep your focus on one specific sector, because it takes time to build relationships, understand the candidates. So I've decided to stick in sort of my business really is sort of anchored around businesses who use smart contracts. And of course, there are businesses who are using AI solutions to feed into that. But I've decided not to go into AI because I wanted to remain purely focused on blockchain technology. Because as far as I'm concerned, if I look at the blockchain sector, it hasn't had a chat GPT moment yet. There's such amazing technology and people are building stuff, but it still kind of feels like it's in the software layer. It hasn't sort of broken through into the mainstream. So I'm sticking with blockchain and crypto because I think it's got a longer runway and a more sort of exciting growth pattern.
Right. What's the next thing in crypto? Like, seems like it took a fall since the SBF debacle and yeah, the company's downfall. You know, like, have you seen something new and impressive? Of course, there's the Trump bump and everything that's happened in the US right now. I think that has gave the industry a major boost. But what's next and what's exciting?
Yeah, it really sort of, I guess what we talk about is the narratives. You know, a narrative will drive recruiting, and a narrative is the sort of window's getting shorter and shorter. So it's always like, what's the next narrative? Where's the next thing? And where's really follow the money. So you look at where the VCs are deploying capital. That's always a good indication. And what we're seeing right now, which is, I guess, one of those business models which is crossing over into TradFi and the real world, is actually real world assets. The tokenization of everything is becoming a very, very exciting space. If I look at a lot of our work, it's very much around the tokenization, particularly real world asset tokenization, particularly in financial services, tokenizing bonds, tokenizing different financial products. And this is where these crypto companies that have got great technology are having genuine conversations with TradFi now. And that merging of TradFi and DeFi, that's the sweet spot that we're seeing right now.
Right. And the Trump administration, is what they're doing chaotic and unresponsible, or it's mostly good for the US and the world?
Oh, look, I think long-term good. I think it's been so much so fast. And I think, people, there's always going to be profit taking, which I think what we're seeing. There's always going to be some market manipulation by the money makers, which I think we're seeing. But the ultimate, sort of long-term plan for crypto with CryptoZar, with David Sachs, etc., I think is very good. It provides a very solid foundation for the industry to build from. It actually, having Bitcoin on that reserve, sort of, it validates, decentralized ledger technology, which is what it's built on. So I think it's good, but like everything in crypto, it's going to be choppy, and we're going to give up hope, and then it's come bouncing back unexpectedly. So overall, good. And I think what will be also interesting now that crypto is on the agenda in the Trump administration, obviously just a reserve. I think what you're going to find is they're going to look into all these different types of blockchain technology and decentralized applications and how they can be used in the government. Because if you look at the government, of the States, it's run on floppy disks and mainframes. I think there's a quantum shift opportunity for some of the really innovative blockchain companies to come in and run the government more efficiently, which is a theme of the Trump administration. So it's a very exciting time. But in crypto, we're all a bit impatient, right? We want it to happen now. So it's going to take a year or two. But what we're seeing is a tipping point for some really exciting opportunities for the people building on blockchain.
And what do you think about the reserve? Like, is that a smart move? Is gold's value fading away? Should they have crypto as reserve?
Absolutely, they should. Yeah, no, it's there's all that talk about, is there really gold in Fort Knox? Who knows? At least Bitcoin's verifiable, so I think it is. I think they're going to be first in, and this is definitely a first mover advantage, because even Texas is doing it now. A lot of other countries are going to put on their reserves, so it's only going to go one way. I think it's a classic, buy the rumor, sell the news, which is what we saw. I think it's a great, and if it goes, in anywhere close to what some of these predictions are, this is going to take care of the debt problem that the United States has as well. So there's so many positives, but we're sort of drinking from a fire hose when it comes to the Trump administration. Now there's lots of confusing inputs, but overall I think this is going to be we're going to look back in 4 or 5 years as a seminal moment.
Right. Tell me about proof of search as business models. Is it the classic, like plug you with an applicant and we take 20% of their first year salary?
Yeah, more or less. I mean, we tend to sort of vary our pricing around sort of volume and commitment up front, all of those things, but it's still anchored around, we charge a client a percentage of their salary, for the person, and there's different guarantee periods around that. What we have found is that, there's a lot of fake candidates and a lot of very risky hiring banana skins out there for companies. There's a lot of North Koreans getting in there. So what we do at Proof of Search, because our primary sort of marketplace is the Asia Pacific, is we go out and actually meet candidates face to face, like proof of person, if you like, because a lot of companies have hired someone who was never real and they don't do anything, and there's getting the culture fit right, especially with distributed teams. So we're sort of, there's a lot of AI generated sort of recruiting models, which will go through lots and lots of applications for you very quickly. But where we fit in is actually finding the right culture fit for you guys and making sure they're a real person. We reference check them. We look at what projects they've done. So we're probably the most expensive option, but it's because we spent all of that extra time to actually get to know the person and the people. And when the market was doing that, everybody was hiring, right? And it was very difficult to find people in 21. And obviously when the market did that after FTX, we lost 90% of our jobs. So what we did was go and focus on meeting fantastic candidates face to face. So as the market's coming back, job ads aren't working anymore. LinkedIn isn't working anymore. You need to talk to a headhunter that's got real relationships that can bring people to the table, because really good people don't look at LinkedIn and not on job boards. They're too busy working. So look, it's, we're actually a very old school model, and it really does help companies to get their culture fit right.
Right. And how do you target your clients? Do you outreach to them, LinkedIn, cold email? What's your GTM engine?
Yeah, look, it's a constant thing, because if I go back to my early days in recruiting, you just call them up on the phone and say hello. People don't have phone numbers, so you've got a combination of sort of using sort of AI, automated outreach. But the number one area for our client development is just referrals. Because you'd very rarely get a job as a recruiter by just, hello, I'm a recruiter, give me a job. Because the stuff that we get is usually stuff where it's a bit confidential. Either they're launching a new product, they're firing someone, they've got some funding that they can't put it out in public. You need someone like us to go in and sort of tap people on the shoulder and say, look, this is a highly confidential search, and then we'll manage the information flow. So it's lots of different ways, but the number one way we do get business is through referrals, because recruiting and search firm, you've got to have a level of trust, because we get told a lot of very sensitive information in the process of a key search. So yeah, bit of both, but I've been seeing so many incredible AI solutions when it comes to targeting companies. It's moving really fast, and we're going to have to look at all options.
Yeah, one of the best ways in the crypto industry, because it's so sensitive and trust based, is like a podcast, right? Like starting a podcast to talk with a bunch of clients in Web3, or clients that could be coming in Web3, could be a very interesting solution here. talking about those
actually, because as we spoke before, a lot of how my research, I'm watching your interviews and seeing CEOs talk about their business models and using that as a platform for outreach, because you'll never replace the face-to-face conversations when founders talk about their business. So, and it just gives you an understanding. So yeah, there's lots of this. You've got to be multi strategy focused.
Yes, and talking about, for example, crypto, most of you guys cannot run ads. SEO, there's like way too much competition, right? Everyone's with like this Telegram group. I think people are just losing trust, right? And podcast is the de facto trust engine. Now, clients that want to get into crypto, who are they, right? I still remember the Jamie Dimon days when he was doubting Bitcoin and so forth. Who and what company precisely are trying to get in the Web3 space? That mostly finance and fintech.
Definitely, yeah. If you look at all the banks are looking, particularly this tokenization real asset, they're looking how can we get into that. Also, technology for payment rails. But the thing is, a lot of these big companies just don't have the agility to sort of move quick enough on a narrative or a technology. So I think what you will find there is the TradFi companies, but they'll end up sort of acquiring, I think, smaller technologies and companies. I think you've got, I guess, large, I guess, transport companies and large logistics companies and manufacturing who are looking at how we deploy sort of blockchain-based tracking technology. You're looking at a number of different companies around, I guess, entertainment, like how do we tokenize, a piece of music, how do we have that? So the entertainment space and the financial space and manufacturing space are all looking, how do we sort of track the specific assets that we have on chain more efficiently. So I think everyone's looking at how they can use it, but it's still kind of a bit of a mystery to say, how do we use blockchain? And they've all got these blockchain divisions trying to work it out. So it's a slow process and kind of still hard to understand for traditional non-crypto people, really.
Right. What's your top goal this year in terms of sales, in terms of who you want to recruit and what clients you want to work with?
This year is going to be very much what we're sort of moving upstream. When you start a recruiting firm, you tend to get the more junior sort of manager, sort of VP level. Once you've been around 3 or 4 years and you've got longer term relationships, we'll be moving into the C-level CEO roles, very much sort of, founder-led type of recruiting. So our goal is to go upstream and do more work with the venture capital companies who need to found, seed, and build senior management teams going forward. And, we wouldn't have been in a position to do that when we started because we just didn't have the relationships, the knowledge. And now, going through the bear market, you build an incredible base of contacts. Now we can confidently work with these, venture capital, private equity firms who need to build, high performing teams quickly. So it's really, follow the money. And so we're going upstream into the VC world and sort of helping them build teams this year.
Love it. Where can people find out more about you, Kev?
Well, our website, www.proofofsearch.io, or I'm on Telegram at KevinPOS, Proof of Search. So I didn't want to have blockchain or crypto in my company name, but I wanted to have, enough words we could go, okay, these guys understand a smart contract. So Proof of Search it is. So website and Telegram. And my other thing I'm going to get more involved in X this year. I'm watching the way you use it, and I definitely need to move in that direction. Spend more time on that.
Yeah, I'm still using X because everyone's there because Elon's been a dick nowadays, and I want to merge away from it. But like everyone's there, especially in the Web3 community. So X still has some potential. So that was Kev Gibson and Charles Cormier for another Founder Wisdom podcast.